What's good, y'all? Today is Patrick Armstrong Day. No guests today. I'm just chilling in the kitchen before I gotta go to work, and I am drinking water. All right. I don't really know what I was gonna come in here and talk about, to be honest. I just got done doing a bunch of chores around the house, and I'm waiting to switch the clothes from washer to dryer, and I feel like I feel like I say this every single time I podcast, whether I'm speaking with a guest, whether I am doing a solo, whether it was during the morning show. But there's a lot of shit happening in the world. So much shit. And I don't know, I feel like recently I've been in this strange, like, middle gray space of being really affirmed and supported in the work that I'm doing, specifically when it comes to speaking out about the stuff that's happening in the world, in Minnesota, in Maine, and all across the country. And at the same time, feeling like feeling like because of what's happening and because of the accelerated nature of some of the immigration legislation that's making its way through the Indiana State House, I have felt more and more afraid, I guess. Yeah. I felt a lot of fear around the continuation of speaking out, simply because of my personal lived experience. And I think it's been weighing on me a lot recently, when in all aspects of my life, to be honest. So firstly, thank you to everybody who has been super supportive in the decision to put the morning show on the shelf for now. I think that's actually been a really good decision for me. And I am glad to, I guess, I like have some of that time freed up that I was dedicating to the morning show in the first place. I think it's allowed me to get some better sleep at night. I think it's allowed me to unburden myself in the mornings of, like, making sure whatever it is that I need for the morning show is good and ready and out the door. And in addition to now having been a month on this full-time job, feeling like I can devote a lot of my creative time and energy to that. And then knowing that, like, I'm still going to be here on Mondays. I'm still going to be doing the live show for Conversation Piece once a month. Having plans for those has been really helpful. And it's felt really good in my body. And knowing that the people out here who have been listening to this show, the tens of people who listen to this, it's been really heartening to hear from y'all and to see your comments about being like, hey, love that you're prioritizing, your personal health and time and your family's time. And so I appreciate that. Secondly, in addition to feeling good about that, I've felt like I have been struggling with my patience, with my very, like, quick reaction to things that frustrate me, or inconvenience me. And it's like, it could be, a lot of it is driving on the road. I'm not going to lie. A lot of it is driving in Indianapolis. But stuff that I've been noticing recently has just been like the little things. Like, I tripped over my shoe. I got super mad. Um, uh, Other little things like that. It's just little things like that. That I feel like I've just been not able to not react to for some reason. And where like the affirmation and support from y'all and the free time or the additional time that I've received back from not doing the morning show now and how good that has felt has been met with this feeling in my body of like, I don't want to say it's like a burning, like a fire, but it's just like something that I've struggled to control. And I, as you well know, if you've been listening to this since at least the beginning of the year, I have made one of my top priorities for myself internally this year to be letting go. And what does that look like? It looks like a lot of things. And one of those things that I want to let go of is this hanging on to stuff that I don't need to hang on to, which is the frustration and anger and the quick reaction to stuff that doesn't require that. Like, there's no need to be mad that I tripped over the shoe or that something's out of place or that traffic might be taking a little bit longer. Like, there is no reason to be as angry and as frustrated as I have been feeling lately. And I have been trying to figure out, like, where is that coming from? Why has it gotten worse? Especially as I have, like, again, taken time back from not doing the morning show. And the only thing that I can truly think of that has been, like, causing this anger and reactiveness and yada, yada, yada has been, like, just the state of the world in general. And then specifically, some of this, like, one specifically really scary bill moving through the state house, which in all likelihood is going to pass, which is Senate Bill 76, titled Immigration Matters. But what would, if passed, would require agencies, law enforcement, and others to cooperate with immigration enforcement. It would require universities and schools and other places to cooperate with immigration enforcement. It would make it punishable to basically interact with an undocumented person if you are an employer. So if you're a business and there is even the suspicion of undocumented folks being inside of your establishment, which can then easily be construed as they work there or they're trying to work there, you can be punished for that. Additionally, what that means in like a both short-term and long-term view is that should this bill, SB 76, pass into law, then what we are watching happen in Minneapolis, what we are watching happen in places in Maine, places in New York, in California, in DC, in Chicago, in what are, I guess, our big brothers and sister cities. What we're seeing happen there, these door-to-door operations, these middle-of-the-night rappelling down into buildings, terrorizing black and brown families, what we are seeing in those places, this bill, if passed, would open the door for them to do the same thing, which is go door to door and question whether or not you belong in this country. It's fucking like it's really scary. And I think the thing that's kind of scaring me even more is that I don't know that I am seeing enough non-people of the global majority, aka white people, talking about this. And I think it continues to move so quickly through the General Assembly because unlike redistricting, we have not shown up to combat this. And on one hand, I get it. There are so many other things like the ILEA and this attack on Indianapolis public schools. Like, that is really important. What's happening with data centers and our utilities is really important. Like, there are so many things right now happening in Indiana, in Indianapolis, that are very, very important for us to show up for. And I'm worried that we are going to let this immigration bill go through, or we're not letting it, but like it's going to get through because we have been divided and pushed to different areas of concern, which is the whole point of trying to ram through a bunch of really bad legislation in a shortened session. So again, this is not to say that all white people or all people that I know, or all white people that exist in the state aren't talking about this. I know that there are. And I think like this particular situation, the session that we find ourselves in right now, is a really, really good example of why supermajorities are bad for people. For constituents, for people that live in a state, supermajorities are bad because it allows for really bad, harmful legislation to become law with minimal pushback. And that's because Democrats don't have the ability to pull levers to slow these things down in a super minority. Last episode, we talked to Representative Carrie Hamilton, and she talked about how, like, the one way right now that they can slow stuff down or try to get things changed in some of this legislation that's going through is by introducing amendments. And she talked about one of the affordability bills that's going through and how they introduced 12 amendments to that to try and just change one thing here or there, add some provision to help families and make things actually affordable. And and the Republican supermajority shut them all down, nixed them all, said no. Like, wouldn't even do one. Wouldn't even do one. So when you have a supermajority, you run into situations like this. You run into situations where you don't have the ability, if you're in the minority, to even you have an extreme uphill battle to try and make significant change or try to have significant impact on legislation at all. Now, I am friends with, or have become friends with, and know now a lot of folks in our state house who show up every single day and fight for us. And they do that with this knowledge that we can hold on to the lever, but the lever is jammed. And so, like, until the lever gets unstuck, we can't really pull it down to slow things down. So you just have to keep showing up and keep doing it and hope maybe humanity can show through in the things that we're trying to do, like make childcare affordable, make healthcare affordable, make sure that we have access to public schools for all kids across the state, and not just funneling the money to charter schools and to private voucher schools who anybody can now access, whether you make $5,000 a year or $500,000 a year. And guess who's getting those vouchers? It's not the people who really need it. I know that there are people in our state house that are fighting for us, and I appreciate them, and I'm supporting them in every single possible way that I can and that I have capacity to do. And, like, it is imperative that we break this supermajority up ASAP, because if we don't, we are going to continue to see really bad, really harmful legislation move through our state and impact everybody across the board who isn't in the top 0.1% here in Indiana. Which brings me back to SB 76 and my fear that not enough people really understand the ramifications of this bill going through. So I say that because one of the bills that is currently trying to make it through the House as well, or through the General Assembly as well, is this bill to militarize the National Guard and essentially make them a private police force for the governor to employ whenever, wherever, however he chooses to do so. No oversight. That bill, why did I bring that up? So we have seen a ton of coverage about this across the board in like national news, because this is like said. I don't know. I'm not super knowledgeable on other states and whether they have done similar things or like a Texas or a Florida have done things to, essentially privatize the National Guard. But I would venture to say that to do so would set the precedent for other states, if they haven't, to go ahead and try and do so. And when that happens, I don't know. I don't remember why I brought that up. I brought it up because it's important. Oh, so like that's something that we have our eyes on and our attention on, and that we're showing up to the State House for. There are, again, the utility stuff, the data center stuff we're showing up for, the education stuff, the IPS stuff we're showing up for. And I love it. I love that for us. And I will say, I gotta keep it 100. I know that this past Monday that there was a hearing, which SB 76 did make it through, cleared. I think it was a second reading. And from what I saw from photos posted on social media, there was standing room only out, even into and outside of the committee room where this was being heard, which is very heartening to me. That makes me it gives me hope to see people showing up like that. And like it's still going through. And that means we need, and again, like that was probably going to happen anyways, but we need as many people as humanly possible to be contacting their representatives, to be contacting the people sitting in the General Assembly and letting them know that this is not right. We cannot pass this bill. We cannot. To pass this bill is to give tacit endorsement to authoritarianism. The secret police, 100%, that too. And I think like this immigration bill is Indiana. This is the Indiana Republican Party saying we endorse authoritarianism. That's what it is. If you pass this bill, that's what you're saying. So, as somebody who would be directly impacted by something like this, that's why I have so much fire, and that's why I feel like it's urgent to talk about, and I wish I saw more people talking about it, and I understand the context of why not as many people might be talking about it, because so many terrible things are happening, which has divided our attention, and that's the whole point. And I know, too, that I understand, too, that, like, we aren't going to win every fight. We aren't going to find ourselves in the best positions always. We're going to have to lose some battles in order to win other battles. I'm just really afraid to lose this one. I'm really, 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 really scared that we're going to lose this one. And then we're going to lose a lot more once this bill's signed into law. So we need to be talking about this. We need to be fighting it. We need to be doing it now. So if you don't know who your representatives are, get on the phone, get on the horn, call them, let them know that they cannot pass this bill. I think it's in the House, right? No, I'll link it in the show notes. Cannot pass this bill. When this episode comes out, today is Monday, the 16th. They should be currently. Wait, no, today's the 9th. Today, I think they're doing the third reading, which would mean that is essentially, it could be called for a vote at any time in the House. Yeah, because it's already passed through the Senate, I believe. I don't know. I'm confused now. I'm confusing myself. All I know is that we're really on the precipice of this bill passing, and it's going to be really bad if it does. So I just need people, if they got the time and capacity, to call. White folks, I'm asking you right now, if you listen to this, call. Please call. Call about all the other bills and call about this one. Please mention this one. Please mention this one. A lot of people are going to be harmed if we do not stop this bill. And I don't think that we really realize how much danger our immigrant and non-white community members are should this bill pass. That's not even talking about the detention center they're trying to build in Maryville. Like, they want the bill to pass so they can put people in there. I don't mean to be alarmist, but we are in 5-alarm fire territory in this country. And Indiana is making a not slow sprint towards jumping headfirst into the fire. But again, and I'm going to end with this, is that I am hopeful based on conversations that I've been a part of, based on communities that I've seen starting to come together in ways that, I don't know that we have in the past, or actually we have and we just haven't heard about. But the way that people are starting to show up, and okay, it's all right. I'm going to get to the hope part. I'm hopeful for that because, and I'm hopeful that stuff can hopefully, we can show up in that way to stop these harmful pieces of legislation. But even if that doesn't happen, we're showing up in the primaries in May. We're showing up at the end of the year for the midterms to vote. I am hopeful for that. And the reason that I am hopeful for that is based on like all of these things that I've seen. And here's the thing. They just put out an article about it. I don't remember who it was. I think it was in the Star, but maybe not. In 2024, in the general election, 400,000 people did not vote. 101,000 here in Marion County, 300,000 elsewhere across the state. Did not vote in the general election. That's how we got Mike Braun. That's not how Donald Trump won, but we didn't help. When we don't show up, we put ourselves in such a terrible position to actually see things through that will be beneficial for all people in our city, in our state. When we don't show up, we're giving, maybe even unintentionally, implicitly, approval for whatever terrible legislation that a supermajority might want to pass. When you don't show up, when we don't show up, we lose. And here's the bottom line. Everybody loses in those situations, not just the most vulnerable, but the people who feel like they are least vulnerable. We're all losing collectively, and we are paving the way for even worse things to happen. We are paving the way for, yes, even worse things to happen. And so I believe that we are going to slash those numbers. We are going to have a record voter turnout in the primaries in November in 2027 when there's some other stuff that we're going to need to be voting on. I believe that we are going to do that because of redistricting, because of the way people have shown up to speak out against what the ILEA is trying to do, because of the leaders in our community whom I have had the privilege to meet and know now, who have been doing this work far before I ever stepped into the arena, and who I trust when they tell me that they have hope. And when I hear that from them and when I feel that from them, I have no other reason. I have no other thing that I can do other than grab onto that and hold on. And then start running with it. Oh, I know I said at the beginning of this episode I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but there you go. That's it. I'm scared, to be honest, for my own life, for my family's lives. I'm scared for the people of my communities. I'm scared for the people who I don't know who are going to be targeted by this harmful legislation as it moves through the General Assembly. I have a lot of fear. I'm carrying a lot of fear. But the purpose of all of this fear is to make it so we don't show up to the polls, so we don't use our voice, so we don't try to affect change for the better for all of us. And at the end of the day, I cannot sit idly by and allow that to happen. I will not sit idly by and allow it to happen. Not to me, not to my kid, not to our family, none of that. And so that's why I'm making this impassioned plea, particularly to white people, but to Hoosiers across the board. Please, please, please reach out to your representatives and let them know that it is imperative for them to vote no on SB 76. Because if that passes, it's not going to be good. I will link I'll link resources in the show notes, so check that out. And next week, I do not remember who I'm recording with. Yeah, we'll see. Next week we're going to have another good episode. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. All right, y'all. I forget how I close these episodes because I didn't do a stinger at the end of last episode or a closer or an outro. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, for tapping in. If you want to share this episode, that would be awesome. If you want to support me in the work that I'm doing, buy a ticket to the next Conversation Piece live show. I'm donating half of all ticket sales for that show to the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance. They are doing really incredible work to help directly impacted families right now. So give them a follow, check them out. And yeah, until next Monday, I've been Patrick Armstrong. I hope your week's what you need it to be.